Elizabeth Fitzpatrick here. I'm so excited to spend the next 10 minutes showing you how to develop the mindset of a woman who's really capable of reaching all of her dream health and fitness goals. Okay, so it's no secret that there are free resources of really every kind all over the internet. You could literally have ChatGPT create you a workout plan or a meal plan, right? You know generally what kind of food you should or should not be eating for your goals, and you know how important movement is. So then why do most women struggle to see results? That's because we are severely underestimating the importance of your mind in this journey. We face so many mental barriers in a day that we do not even realize. Overcoming these barriers over long enough periods of time to actually see results is challenging, and it's why we all tend to ride this roller coaster of being on again and off again with our fitness. So let's talk mindset then. I'm going to ask you a question, and it's going to seem a little silly, but do you love yourself? How much do you love yourself? What actions do you take on a daily basis that prove you love yourself? Do you nourish your body? Do you have a healthy balance of movement and rest? Are you kind to yourself? You wouldn't want to be in a relationship with someone that says they love you, but their actions say otherwise, right? But are you doing that to yourself? So here I want you to pause the video and write down a list of all of the ways that you show your mind and body love. And I want you to ask yourself, am I kind of surprised at how short this list is? Or are you actually doing a great job loving yourself? So go ahead and pause and create that list. I've lost 40 pounds of fat and gained 10 pounds of lean tissue throughout my journey. And when I started, I thought I was doing the journey for the body. But that ended up just really being the cherry on top. What I really gained was so much self-love and respect. I know that I would do absolutely anything for myself, no matter how hard it was. And then I realized that health and fitness is really a reflection of how much you love yourself. Imagine having a child or a pet. You would want them to be happy and healthy, right? You'd want to give them the best quality food to make sure that they have space to run and play, and you would speak to them with kindness and with love. So why don't we do the same for ourselves? So if our health and fitness is really just a reflection of how much we love ourselves, then where does that love or lack of it actually come from? And it all starts with our mental programming, the thoughts, beliefs, and the stories that run on autopilot in your subconscious mind. Most of us don't even realize how many of these thoughts were taught to us, not chosen by us. Maybe you grew up around women who were always dieting, or you learned that working harder means being better. Over time, those beliefs became your operating system. The problem is your brain can't tell the difference between what's true and what's familiar. So even when you want to eat healthier, move your body, and feel confident, your old programming is still running the show. It whispers things like, you'll fall off again, you're not disciplined enough. And when you start to feel like a failure, you tend to fall off. It's hard to stick to something that you feel like you are failing at. That's why you can know what to do, but still not do it. But here's the good news. Your brain can be rewired. And when you start to shift that internal programming, everything changes. Your habits become easier, and you stop starting over. You finally start to feel in control of your health and your life. So I'm going to give you 5 of my best tips for how to start rewiring your brain. Number 1, we're going to focus on being 1% better as opposed to having an all or nothing mindset. Consistency outbeats perfection every single time. No one is perfect on this journey, and the more you expect yourself to be, the more you'll keep riding the health and fitness roller coaster. Your brain loves familiarity, so big, overwhelming changes trigger resistance. But 1% wins feel a lot more safe, and that's how new neural pathways form. Every small win creates a feedback loop that reinforces your new identity. The more you show your brain evidence that you follow through, the faster it rewires. So here, I want you to pause the video and you're gonna make a list of all of the ways you lean into an all or nothing mindset and how you can rephrase these thoughts. So for example, maybe you thought, today was a terrible nutrition day, I'll just start over again on Monday. But maybe we restructure that thought to, hey, it's okay, today wasn't my best nutrition day. No one is perfect. Let me take a moment to brainstorm how I can make tomorrow even better. So go ahead and pause the video now to complete that. The next is learn from your mistakes. This whole journey is really just a ton of guess and check. Some things will work and some things will not. But when something doesn't work, don't let that tear you down. Instead, you journal about it and you brainstorm how to overcome it. So for example, you try to work out after work for 5 days in a row, but at the end of your workday, you're so tired, you end up skipping it. Okay, you didn't fail at working out. You actually just learned that working out after work doesn't work for you, right? You ran the experiment 5 times and it didn't work. Okay, so what do we do with that information? Now we brainstorm. We think, what else can I do? Can I work out before work? Can I work out on my lunch break? Can I do at-home workouts? There's always another option for how to make it work. So here, I want you to pause the video and make a list of things that you previously saw as a failure and brainstorm how you can overcome those obstacles. Number 3, start talking to yourself like you've already won. Your brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined, right? So when you speak, think, and act as if you've already achieved your goals, you are literally rewiring your neural pathways to make that identity feel familiar, and your brain always seeks what feels familiar. I really love Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think he does a great job of explaining this concept. I highly recommend checking him out. But he explains this as neuroplasticity. Every thought fires a network of neurons, and the more often you repeat it, the stronger that network becomes. So when you repeatedly affirm, I'm consistent, I love taking care of my body, or I'm the kind of woman who follows through, your brain begins to automate those beliefs and your body follows. It becomes easier. Manifestation isn't magic. It's not woo-woo in the way that people make it sound, but it's really your mind rehearsing success until your actions catch up with your thoughts. So you want to speak as her, you want to think as her, you want to act like her. That is how you become her. So here, I want you to pause the video and create a short list of affirmations that you can say to yourself to start speaking to yourself as if you've already accomplished all of your goals. Number 4, your brain repeats what gets rewarded. It is so important to celebrate all of the small wins. Hitting your protein target, going for a 10-minute walk, making a little bit better of a nutrition choice one day. That is how you start to snowball momentum. So think about like if you're raising a child and you want your child to make their bed every single morning. What works better? Scolding them when they forget or cheering them on every time that they do it? You want to celebrate it and you want to make a really big deal out of it and tell them how proud you are, right? This is called positive reinforcement, and it is the number one way to rewire your brain. Over time, your child would start to do it automatically because it feels so good to them. They want to be celebrated again. And you work the same way. When you praise yourself for showing up, no matter how small, you are conditioning consistency. Progress stops feeling like punishment and it starts to feel like self-respect. And that's what keeps the habits alive long term. So here, I want you to pause the video and write down a list of 10 wins you've had so far this week, no matter how small they are. Next is to think of yourself like you are a scientist running a science experiment. Your emotional brain is part of what makes you beautifully human. It lets you feel joy and passion and connection and a lot of other, maybe less happy emotions as well. But when it comes to transformation, emotions aren't always helpful. And sometimes we need a little bit more of our logical brain because our emotional brain can cloud our logical brain. They make us take things personally, we avoid discomfort, and we label outcomes as good or bad. That's why it's so powerful to think of yourself like a scientist running an experiment. Scientists don't attach emotion to their data. They simply observe, and then they adjust, and then they test again. So let's say you avoid looking at your body composition because you don't want to hurt your feelings. I get that. No one enjoys feeling uncomfortable. Trust me, I've had many check-ins that I didn't love the data. But here's the thing. If you never check the data, you don't actually know if what you're doing is working or not. You may think that you do because you are going off of what you see in the mirror, but I'm telling you, our eyes are not as accurate as you may think that they are. So you might be following a plan for months that is not giving you results, and you're just blindly following it because you're not taking the time to stop and look at the actual data and to see if it's working or not. So checking in on your progress, it's not judgment. It's not about judging yourself for that body composition that you see and you don't like. It's information, and information is really, really, really powerful. Sometimes experiments don't go the way we expect. That doesn't mean that you failed. It means you gather data that helps you refine your approach. Scientists don't scrap the entire experiment when something doesn't work. They tweak the variables and try again. You can do the same with your health and fitness journey. Every setback is feedback. The faster you learn to separate your emotions from your data, the faster you'll find what actually works for your body. And that's how real transformation happens. So I want you to pause the video here and create a list of ways that you can act more like a scientist on your journey. So by now, you can see that rewiring your brain isn't some abstract, out of reach, woo-woo concept. It is actually a series of small intentional shifts that completely change how you think, act, and show up for yourself. When you start catching the old patterns, celebrating your small wins, embracing both sides of yourself, aligning your energy, and acting like the woman you're becoming, your brain starts working for you instead of against you. So that's when fitness stops feeling like a fight and it actually starts feeling like freedom. And I want you to really let that sink in. Because if you've been struggling to stay consistent, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're unmotivated or you're lazy or whatever it is. It just means that your brain has been wired for survival and not success. The work you're doing right now is literally reprogramming your system. You're creating a new default, one that's built on self-love and discipline and trust. If this clicked for you, and if you're ready to stop starting over and actually create the kind of consistency that lasts, that is exactly what we dive deeper into inside of my Toned Collective Academy program for women. So you've now learned the foundation of what I call the Toned Mind Guide. But inside the program, I'll help you apply this framework step by step to your workouts, nutrition, and daily habits, so that way results become inevitable. If that sounds interesting, go ahead and fill out the coaching application in the link in my bio, and we can set up a time to talk via Zoom and just see if we would be a good match to work together. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really hope that it was helpful, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Bye.